She said, "I want to try dating other people before getting married." I nodded. "Then go ahead, try it." That very weekend, I went on a beach trip with her attractive coworker, the one who had once admitted she had feelings for me. The next morning, my phone wouldn't stop ringing. It was just another quiet afternoon. Claire and I sat at our usual cafe, talking about random things, her new project, weekend plans, the coffee being too strong. Then she looked at me and said, with the calmness of someone ordering another coffee, "I think I want to start seeing other people." For a second, time slowed. The chatter, the clinking cups, all of it faded until there was only her voice, steady and unreal, hanging in the air. Her voice was steady, her expression calm. She'd planned this. I didn't move, didn't blink, just looked at her, steady and silent. Then I said, "All right, sounds like a good idea." My tone was flat, no edge, no warmth. She froze for a second, a tiny shift in her eyes, like she hadn't expected me to agree so easily. She was waiting for an argument, a plea, something. Instead, there was nothing, just quiet. Inside, I wasn't hurt, not even angry. Just a strange clarity, sharp, sudden, like fog lifting in sunlight. It didn't feel like heartbreak. It felt like calculation, like hearing the signal that a battle's about to begin. I stood up, dropped a few bills on the table and said, "Take care, Claire." Then I walked out, calm, steady. The door shut behind me with a dull click, and that sound, and simple as it was, that felt final. I wasn't a man who'd just been left. I was a man who'd just woken up. There's a woman at work, Olivia, confident, sharp, the kind who knows her power and uses it well. Her smiles linger. Her compliments always come with a hint of intent. Weeks ago, over lunch, she'd said to me, "If she ever stops appreciating you, Ethan." I won't hesitate. I laughed it off, but the line stuck. Olivia wasn't bluffing. She's the kind of woman who says what she means. And I've always kept a respectful distance, but I'd be lying if I said the idea hadn't crossed my mind. That night, driving home, I heard Claire's words again, that calm voice asking for space, and right after, Olivia's voice echoed in my head, "I won't hesitate." I smiled to myself. Yeah, I thought, maybe it's time to stop waiting too. Claire believed she was the one testing the limits, that she had the upper hand. "She thinks she's experimenting," I muttered. "Cute. But she doesn't realize I'm the one setting the rules." The pain was there somewhere, but distant, like background noise. What I felt more than anything was control. I rolled down the window, let the cold night air hit my face. It felt cleansing. This wasn't the end. It was a reset. She wanted freedom? Fine, so would I, but on my own terms. From this point on, I wasn't reacting. I was directing. When I got home that night, I didn't pour a drink or scroll through Claire's social media like some heartbroken fool. I took a shower, made a black coffee, and sat down at my desk. My mind was quiet, and too quiet. That kind of silence only comes when every emotion has burned away, and all that's left is focus. I opened my phone, not to check her feed, not to send a message I'd regret. I knew better than that. Instead, I opened Olivia's chat. "Claire and I are taking a break," I typed. "Got any plans this weekend?" Thinking of a quick beach trip to clear my head. I paused before hitting send, not because I doubted myself, but because I wanted to feel that moment, the shift from reaction to action. Then I sent it direct, confident, zero subtext, not because I wanted her, but because she represented something simple, a reminder that I could still choose, even after being chosen against. It took her less than a minute to reply. "No plans. Beach sounds perfect. I'll drive." I smiled. Exactly as expected. See, people think control comes from manipulation. It doesn't. It comes from knowing the outcome before the move is made. I didn't need to chase Olivia. I just opened a door I already knew she'd been waiting to walk through. I set the phone down, leaned back and closed my eyes. Claire thought she'd taken something from me. Power, stability, identity. What she didn't understand was that I don't lose those things. I reassign them, and right now that energy had a new destination. The next few days were routine, or at least they looked that way. Work, gym, sleep. But beneath the surface, I was preparing. The trip wasn't about Olivia. It was about me, reclaiming the story before someone else wrote it for me. I booked a quiet seaside resort. Minimalist, clean, elegant. 2 separate rooms, deliberate. I wanted space. Not entanglement. I packed light. White linen shirts, neutral tones, a simple watch, the kind of look that looked unbothered without trying too hard. Before leaving, I caught my reflection in the mirror. Calm eyes, steady posture. A man who didn't look like he'd been dumped because he hadn't been. He'd allowed a phase to end. That distinction matters. When we met up at the gas station that Friday morning, Olivia stepped out of her car with a wide smile and sunglasses that tried to hide her excitement. "Didn't think you'd actually text me," she said. I shrugged. I needed a break. "You seem like the right company. Simple, balanced. A statement that gave nothing away yet said everything. During the drive, we talked. Work, music, travel." She laughed a lot. I let her. The rhythm was easy, controlled. No tension, no chasing. Just natural gravity. Somewhere between the highway and the horizon, I realized how light I felt. No bitterness. No longing. Just presence. People underestimate that. The power of calm after chaos. It's the purest kind of strength. By the time we arrived at the coast, the sky had turned gold. The sea stretched wide and indifferent, a perfect reflection of how I wanted to feel. I remember thinking, this isn't revenge. This is reclamation. Later that night, as we sat by the beach bar with a couple of drinks, Olivia leaned toward me slightly, voice softer. "You seem different, Ethan." I smiled. Maybe I just stopped giving people the power to define me. She didn't respond, but I saw the look in her eyes, curiosity mixed with admiration. The kind that comes when someone realizes you're not playing by their usual rules. Before heading back to the hotel, I looked out at the dark water and said quietly to myself, "I'm not here to be comforted. I'm here to remind myself who I am." The beach was quiet that morning, the kind of silence you only get before sunrise, when even the sea seems to hold its breath. Olivia and I had arrived the night before. 2 rooms just like I planned. She'd offered to share one, half teasing, but I'd smiled and said, "Let's keep it simple. I like my space." That single line set the tone. I wasn't here for comfort, and she understood that. Over breakfast, we talked easily. She laughed at my jokes, brushed her hair behind her ear, watched me more than once when she thought I wasn't looking. I noticed, of course. I notice everything. I didn't flirt. Not directly. That's what made it work. The more space I gave, the more she leaned in. By midday, we were on the sand. She wanted to swim. I watched from a distance, sunglasses on, cold beer in hand. She looked radiant under the sunlight, and for a moment I could almost forget why I was here. Almost. Later, while she dried her hair, she asked, "Mind if we take a picture? You know, to prove you actually relax sometimes." I smirked. "Sure, but let's make it look good." I took her phone, found the right light, golden, angled from the side, and positioned us close but not too close. Enough to let the picture speak more than the truth. When she sent it to me, I looked at it for a while. Her smile was warm, my expression calm. It looked intimate, but it wasn't, and that was precisely what I wanted. I hesitated before posting. Not out of guilt, but to make sure I wasn't doing it to hurt her. I wanted it to mean something else. Proof that I was fine on my own. That night I posted it. Just a single photo, no caption. The timing, 8:37 p.m. The effect, immediate notifications lit up, friends commented. And I knew somewhere out there Claire was seeing it too. It wasn't about revenge. It was about balance. She'd chosen freedom. I was simply showing her what that looked like from my side. You wanted space, I thought. Now you get to watch what fills it. I went to sleep early that night, phone face down. No checking. No waiting. Real control is knowing the reaction without needing to see it. The next morning I woke to missed calls, 5 of them, all from Claire. Messages followed. "Who's that girl? So that's how fast you move on? Are you trying to hurt me?" Each one shorter, more frantic than the last. I stared at the screen for a long moment, then set the phone aside. For a brief moment, instinct told me to reply, to comfort, to explain. Old habits die hard. But that moment passed and silence felt stronger. Made coffee. Opened the curtains. The ocean shimmered under the morning light, endless and indifferent. That's when it hit me, the irony. For weeks she had the power. Now, without a single word, I had taken it back. Olivia knocked on my door a little later. "Morning," she said softly. "Everything okay?" Perfect, I replied, and I meant it. We spent the rest of the day exploring, laughing, driving down the coast with the windows open. I let myself enjoy it. Not because I needed distraction, but because I could. By late afternoon, I checked my phone again. More messages, please answer. I need to talk. Can we meet when you're back? I didn't reply. Not yet. Instead, I took another slow sip of coffee, leaned back and smiled faintly. People mistake silence for weakness, but silence, when used right, is dominance. That night, I finally sent one message back. What's wrong? I'm busy. Nothing cruel. Nothing defensive. Just cold precision. And that was enough. Because in that single moment, I stopped being her option, and she became the one chasing closure. Later, while Olivia talked about future plans, I found myself half listening. My mind was elsewhere, not on Claire, not even on the past. Just on the strange calm that had replaced it. It wasn't satisfaction. It wasn't pride. It was peace, the kind that comes when you finally realize you're not defined by someone else's choice. As the night grew darker, I walked alone down the shoreline. The air was cold, the tide pulling at my feet. I thought about how easily control shifts, how it's never taken, only surrendered. Claire had surrendered hers the moment she played the game, and I had won mine back by refusing to play at all. I didn't need to punish her. The distance itself was enough. When I turned back toward the hotel, I checked my phone one last time. Another missed call. Another message I didn't open. I smiled. You taught me the rules, Claire, I whispered. You just didn't expect me to master them faster. I got back from the coast late Sunday evening. The apartment was quiet, clean, the kind of silence that used to feel heavy but now felt earned. I unpacked slowly. The shirt still smelled faintly of salt and wind. I poured myself a drink, stood by the window and looked out at the city lights. They flickered the same as always, but somehow everything looked different. I didn't reach out to Claire, didn't feel the need to. For the first time in years, there was no urge to fix, explain, or chase. Peace isn't loud. It's the absence of noise you didn't realize was suffocating you. 2 days passed before she showed up. Same cafe where it all began. She waited outside, eyes red, hands trembling. When she saw me, she tried to smile. It broke halfway. The same cafe, the same corner table. Only the air had changed. Lighter now, like the weight had finally shifted. Ethan, can we talk? I nodded once. No emotion. Just civility. She sat down across from me, the same spot where she'd ended things. Funny how places remember more than people do. I didn't actually see anyone, she said quickly. I thought I needed to be sure about us. About you. I stirred my coffee, silent. Her voice cracked. And then I saw that picture. That girl, you looked happy. I looked at her. Really looked. For the first time, I didn't see the woman I'd loved. I saw someone searching for control she'd already lost. You know what the problem is, Claire? I said quietly. You thought love was a test. That if you pushed hard enough, I'd beg to prove myself. I leaned back calm, deliberate, but I don't audition. I don't fight for a place in someone's doubt. Tears welled in her eyes. I made a mistake. Yeah, I said softly. You tested the wrong man. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The cafe hummed around us, the sound of other lives continuing, indifferent to ours. She reached across the table, voice barely above a whisper. Can we try again? I looked at her hand, then at her face, and I realized the final truth. I didn't want her back. Not out of anger, just clarity. No, I said simply. The experiment's over. She blinked. So that's it? That's it. I stood up, left a few bills on the table. Before walking away, I added, not to hurt her, but to free myself completely. You thought you needed to find out if I was the best for you. The real question was whether you were right for me. Her tears fell, but I didn't stay to watch. Outside, the air was sharp, almost cleansing. Each step away from that cafe felt like shedding a weight I didn't realize I'd been carrying. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't reacting to someone else's story. I was writing my own again. I walked past the glass window and caught a glimpse of my reflection, steady, unbothered, alive. I smiled. Not the smile of victory, but of understanding. Freedom, I thought. Not from her, from the man who once needed her. And with that, I kept walking.
Joe Rogan Podcast, check it out!
The Joe Rogan Experience.
Train by day, Joe Rogan Podcast by night, all day!
Great to see you again. Great to see you, Joe. Happy to be here.
Happy to have you here. So you've got a documentary about the essentially about the same subject that you talked about last time you were here, the impact of microplastics and all these various endocrine disrupting chemicals that we're dealing with.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Just tell me about it.
Well, it started as a movie on plastic. And when I met Louis, and he filmed me in New York about 5 years ago also, it wasn't the small study that we have today. But let me backtrack because I want to tell you something that I never told you, but was so important to me. So you remember when I was here, you said, are you saying that toxins in the environment are threatening the survival of the human race?
Right.
And I said, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Yes.
Yes? And then you said something which changed my life. You said, why don't people know about this? Remember that?
Yes.
I went home and I thought a lot about that question. And that was what led me to create the program that I have now, Action Science Initiative, which is doing short, impactful, relatively cheap interventions to alert people to the problem and communicating this in a way that I'm hoping will reach more people than academia, where I was speaking before. Because before I talked to you, I talked to my peers in, academia and in the ivory tower, at the meetings where they all went, they read the papers that we all read, but the general public didn't get this. So you really were, I have to tell you thank you, and you were